The GPD WIN MAX 2 series has been one of the best both gaming handheld and day-to-day usage mini laptop we have tried. The latest model in the series features the new AMD Ryzen AI HX 370 processor. In this review we will be comparing it with the previous models as well as other more recent HX 370 based devices to learn if it's worth upgrading to or not. The GPD WIN MAX 2 2025 measures around 8.9 by 6.2 by 0.9 inches and weighs 1098 grams. The lid flips open to reveal a great looking 10.1 inch display. By default it is 1200p resolution, but it does support up to 1600p. It is a touchscreen and also active stylus compatible, supporting pens with up to 4096 levels of pressure. On the hinge we have a 2 megapixel camera with up to 1612 by 1212 super wide angle resolution and high refresh rate. It is suitable for video calls, but we would have liked to have seen an upgraded camera like the amazing one on the GPD Duo. Onto the base we have the gaming controls hidden with the removable covers which can be stored in the back of the device. There are dual analog sticks, D-pad and the usual gaming buttons. In the middle we have a nicely sized touchpad which is pressable for left and right mouse clicks. It's a little strange having the pad at the top, but you get used to it pretty fast. The keyboard takes up most of the space with laptop sized keys that feel great to type with. I wrote this review using the WIN MAX 2 and had no issues at all. The keys are well spaced and require minimal effort to press. On the front side we have the power button with an integrated fingerprint scanner for fast and secure logging in. The left side has both a full-size and microSD card reader, which is always useful to have. The right side has two USB 3.2 ports for peripherals. The back side features trigger and shoulder buttons on either side, and along the back we have two USB 4 ports for high-speed devices, an HDMI 2.1 port, an OCuLink port for connecting up to an eGPU for more graphics performance, and we finish up with a 3.5mm audio jack. The GPD WIN MAX 2 2025 is available in two main models. The first with the AMD 8840U CPU with 780M GPU, which we first saw in last year's model. The one we are reviewing today is with the latest AMD Ryzen AI HX 370 CPU and Radeon 890M GPU. There are options for 32 or 64 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM and 1, 2 or 4 terabytes of SSD storage. For communications there is Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. You can also buy and install a 4G LTE module. If you buy from us we will pre-install it as it can be a little tricky to do if you are not familiar with it. Powering the Max 2 is a 67 Wh rechargeable battery. In our tests running Cinebench on a loop with full display brightness at 28 watts TDP, we got a battery life of 1 hour 20 minutes, around 20 minutes more than the WIN 4 and Mini 2025 models. Average usage will put you around 3 to 6 hours depending on demand. In our fan noise and temperature test whilst running Cinebench, we got a highest fan noise of 68.8 decibels and 55 degrees C temperature. In our benchmarks we will be comparing the WIN MAX 2 series from 6800U to 8840U, as well as other devices using the new HX 370 processor. On Passmark with a score of 8334, we see a 32% increase in performance over the 6800U model, and an 11% increase over the 8840U model. With a score of 7292, we see a 20% increase in performance over the 6800U model on PC Mark. Compared with other HX models, we see just over average scores for the WIN MAX 2. On Geekbench 6 with 2851 and 12252 on their respective cores, we see increases in performance of 42% over the 6800U model. And compared with the 8840U, a 13 and 3% increase. Compared with other HX models, we naturally see similar single core scores, and very good scores only just behind the 1xFly F1 Pro. With scores of 113 and 893 on their respective cores on Cinebench 2024, we see an increase of 31 and 46% over the 6800U, and compared with the 8840U, we see around a 12 and 17% increase in performance. For the HX 370 models, we see ever so slightly lower scores on single core performance. For multi-core performance, we see around average scores. With 3D Mark, we are running the TimeSpy, Night Raid and Firestrike benchmarks. We see an impressive 29 to 45% increase in performance over the 6800U model, and between 16 to 22% compared to the 8840U. Compared with the other HX based models, we get first place on TimeSpy, just below average on Night Raid and around average on Firestrike. And for our gaming benchmarks, we will be testing at 1080p and 720p across a range of TDPs to see the performance. With frames per second at 146 and 117 at 720p and 1080p resolutions respectively, we see increases in performance compared with the 6800U model of around 37 and 58%. And compared with the 8840U, we see 12 and 17%. Whilst comparing with other HX based models, we see a general well above average frames per second, even getting the highest at 1080p. For Cyberpunk, we see an increase in performance of 31 and 49% over the 6800U model, which is a great score to have, some of the highest improvements so far. But compared with the 8840U, we see relatively low increases of 4% and 21%. Compared with other HX based models, we see very good scores. A couple are first place and other average to high frames per second scores. Overall pretty good. Unfortunately, we were not able to get Shadow of the Tomb Raider to run for some reason. It kept crashing back to the desktop after starting the game. Much like we saw in our recent GPD WIN 4 2025 review, we see large increases in performance over the original 6800U model. With the 7840 and 8840U, we do see smaller increases, but depending on the game you can get up to 20% and higher. Let's now take a look at some games running at playable settings. On Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, we are running at 720p resolution with medium graphics settings locked to 30 frames per second at 28 watts TDP. With Goat Simulator Remastered, we are running at 1600p resolution on the high graphics settings at 28 watts TDP. On No Man's Sky, we are running at 1600p on the standard graphics settings at 28 watts TDP. On Little Kitty Big City, we are running at 1600p resolution with high quality settings at 28 watts TDP. We add a bit of screen tearing on the max graphics settings for some reason. On Overthrown, we are running at 1600p resolution with AMD FSR balanced at 28 watts TDP. You could lower the TDP a bit or change the FSR settings if you wanted to. For Heroes of Hammerwatch 2, we are running at 1600p resolution at 8 watts TDP. 5 watts was ever so slightly dropping in frames. For emulation, you can expect to run pretty much everything up to the PlayStation 3 era. But let's go back a bit first and check out the PlayStation emulator DuckStation, which works perfectly. You can increase the rendering resolution, as well as make various graphics enhancements to vastly improve the 3D visuals. On the PS2 emulator PC SX2, you can also increase the rendering resolutions and graphics tweaks. The performance is great for the PS2 era. We learned in our recent GPD WIN 4 2025 review that whilst not much has changed in terms of emulator support, it was already good. You will find in more recent handheld emulators a bit extra performance that may make the difference to a game running great or not. For the Vita 3K emulator, you can run compatible games very well. Depending on how demanding the game is, you can also increase the rendering resolution and possibly some graphics tweaks to get some great visuals. The GPD WIN MAX 2 2025 features an OCuLink port which enables faster performance than only USB 4 when using an eGPU such as the GPD G1. This can boost the graphics performance a considerable amount, not only for gaming, but also tasks such as video editing for example. Due to its larger form factor, the GPD WIN MAX 2 series may not be as popular as say the Win 4 Mini. The Max 2 has been consistently great, not just for gaming, but also for your day-to-day workload. For gaming, you have the latest HX 370 and 890M graphics, which vastly overshadows the original 6800U model. If you have this and are considering upgrading, it's a no-brainer. While we did not see as much as the jump in performance with the 7840 and 8840U, we did see increases in performance which can vary depending on the software being run. And for your day-to-day task, it remains a highly capable mini laptop. The large keyboard is great for typing lengthy documents on, as well as being more than powerful enough for demanding spreadsheets for example. The larger display and resolution, as well as active stylus support, are excellent for image and video editing. The physical size is great. It's not as large as a standard laptop and remains easy to carry in a small bag or rucksack. The GPD WIN MAX 2 2025 is a great option if you are in search of a combined gaming handheld and mini laptop. Within moments you can switch between the two modes for your perfect mix of work and play. You can learn more and order your GPD WIN MAX 2 2025 from us at DROIX.co.uk and DROIX.net for worldwide shipping. And don't forget that all GPD devices from us have a 2-year warranty. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to keep up to date with our latest videos. Thanks for watching and we will see you back in the next one.